There's faith in my world. It comes back to your teachings and all your words. From your life I have learned to be patient and caring at every turn. The reason I'm strong, you where I belong. In a world spinning out of control, the reason for my pride, you are my guide. And I will always follow your way, your way, your way. Oh, alayka sallallahu, oh Muhammad. Peace and blessings on you every day. Alayka sallallahu, oh Muhammad. You inspire me in every way. I promise that wherever I go, whenever I pray, I'll be sending you praise with the words that I say. Rasulallah, oh Muhammad. Peace and blessings on you every day. There's light in my heart, helps me find my way back when I've gone too far. When all my anger makes me blind, I remember your mercy for all mankind. The reason I forgive as long as I live. In a world spinning out of control, the reason I love, I'll never give up. And I will always follow your way, your way, your way. Oh, alayka sallallahu, oh Muhammad. Peace and blessings on you every day. Alayka sallallahu, oh Muhammad. You inspire me in every way. I promise that wherever I go, whenever I pray, I'll be sending you praise with the words that I say. Rasulallah, oh Muhammad. Peace and blessings on you every day. I know the only thing I want from this life, and it's to follow all your footsteps to paradise. So that's the way I'm gonna spend all my time. Yes, I swear, by Allah I swear. Alayka sallallahu, oh Muhammad. Peace and blessings on you every day. Alayka sallallahu, oh Muhammad. You inspire me in every way. Alayka sallallahu, oh Muhammad. Peace and blessings on you every day. Alayka sallallahu, oh Muhammad. You inspire me in every way. I promise that wherever I go, whenever I pray, I'll be sending you praise with the words that I say. Rasulallah, oh Muhammad. Peace and blessings on you every day.
Following is a repeat show that was previously broadcast on Unity FM.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Parenting Hour. You're tuned into Unity FM 93.5, the heart of the city here in Birmingham. MashaAllah. What a lovely long day, and how long the days are getting. It's lovely to see the weather outside, MashaAllah, and the days getting longer. We've had a long and difficult winter this year. It's really been a hard winter for us all, but alhamdulillah, I hear the birds singing, and the days getting longer and the sun shining, so it looks like spring is on the way, inshallah. Today we're going to be talking about teenagers. So if you're tuned in and you've got a teenager, this show might be of interest to you. So we're going to talk about some of the issues with teenagers, who is able to provide help, and a lot about peer pressure and friendships and role models and what that means for teenagers and the importance of that. So we've got a lot of guests with us here in the studio today to talk about that, because it is a very important topic, and you may want to join in the conversations. If you do so, please ring 0121 772 8892. That's 0121 772 8892. You can text us on 07926 843388, 07926 843388. Or if you want to email in, if you're still sitting at your computer and you're working hard and you're listening to this and you're not able to get to a phone, you can email studio@unityfm.net, and the studio manager will forward us the email or read out your request. So that's studio@unityfm.net. Alhamdulillah, we're live here in the studio this evening. It's really always nice being live with you, and I hope that we get some people able to ring in and ask us questions, because that's what it's all about, being here with you to answer your questions and to help you, inshallah, as you may have some issues, or you may want to talk about your good experiences that you have with your own teenagers, because there's a lot of very lovely teenagers out there, and I'm sure the people in front of me have had great experiences, and the parents have had great experiences of their teenagers as well, which we will hear and we will share about this evening, mashallah, as we progress through the show. So, as you know, my name is Kathleen Roche-Nagi, with you for the next hour on Parenting Hour, and I have two parents here with me. I'd like to welcome Abar and Mashida. Oh, sorry, I've got Anisa, wrong names. I've got Anisa and Nasleem. Yes. Assalamu alaikum, welcome. And I've got also from FOSIS, this is where I was getting mixed up with, or hiding there on me behind the screen, Abrar and Rashida. Yes. Assalamu alaikum. How are you all this evening?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. What kind of a day have you had today?
A good day in half term, coping with teenage and the younger ones at home, so it's a long day.
It was a long day, was it? So what did you spend the day doing?
Well, we went out for shopping and went to families to see a family and had lunch together. And
Very
just I'm
nice.
here now, and then we are going out for dinner.
Okay.
So we're doing lots of outings.
Doing lots of outings, indeed is.
Yes.
Yeah, mashallah, mashallah, and that's what we need. I think we need to spend some quality time with our teenagers as well as our young people,
That's
indeed
right.
young children. And this is a lovely time to do it in half term. So, how many children do you have, parents?
I have three girls, all of different ages. One's 13, nearly 14. The other one's 6, and then I've got a little one who's 4. So it's the age. There's a big difference in their age. So you've got to try to cater for all of their needs. So the holidays have been quite difficult, trying to spend that one-to-one with each individual. But alhamdulillah, I managed to take my 6-year-old to a workshop today. So I had some one-to-one time with her. There was she's going to have some phonics screening test in school. So I managed to find something at one of the cafes. So we went there, and I feel a little bit happy, content today that I managed to have that one-to-one with her. And I try, alhamdulillah, I do try to have that one-to-one with each of the girls. Yeah, so...
Mashallah,
Yeah.
mashallah. You've had an active day already today. You must be tired.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes we think of half term as a lovely week that we can relax and chill out, which parents do, but also it is quite a busy time because you have the children from morning to evening and you have to look after them and keep them entertained and occupied, and you're trying to teach them extra things that you don't get a chance to do during the term time.
As a parent, you always feel guilty that you could, do a bit more. So you're always constantly pushing yourself to just give them that extra bit. So alhamdulillah, it's been a very progressive day today.
Very good.
And the holidays have been quite productive. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, that's really good. So we want to talk about some of the issues that maybe some parents are facing out there that are listening into the show that have teenagers, and we want to focus the show this evening on teenagers. And parents, if you want to ring in, do please ring in if you have a query or a question. What do you think some of the issues are out there?
Thank you. I think from my personal experience, I have two children who are 16 and 19, and they both have very different issues as a teenagers. So my second child, who is 16, I find she's a bit like introvert, or I think I find it difficult to communicate. So I feel like it is, as a parent, it's very important to know the skills how to communicate with your child. When they are young, it's easy to talk to them, and they do. You ask them and they explain quite a lot, so you get picture of what they're up to or what sort of things is going on in their head. But as they grow up, they start changing and they start getting quiet, and they don't want to hide it, but it's just the way it is very difficult for them. Or as you think it's very difficult, they are not expressing themselves as much as they were doing when they were young. So I think a big thing is about behavior. So thoughts and behavior, feelings, how to get the barrier, break the barrier to get to them. I think that's a huge thing.
Mm-hmm. So for them to be able to express their feelings, understand their feelings, communicate that. I mean, it is huge. We know as these young people are growing and becoming teenagers, there's so much happening. Their hormones are racing around. Their brain is still connecting together, which doesn't happen until their mid-20s finalised. There's lots of changes in the environment around them, social changes, physical changes.
Right.
Everything is happening all at once.
Yeah, there's lots of things happening, and a child has to cope with all those changes.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Plus, because when they were young, they know they are little and they can get away with these things, or these are expectation. But because as they're growing up, I think they think of themselves as older person, but they're not young, but they're not adults either. So it's like the middle grounds. I mean, how do they look at themselves? They look at themselves more like an adult, or where they aspire to be, but they are not there yet.
So maybe physically wise, they might be already tall and look like an adult, but I suppose emotionally wise, they're still not quite there yet.
Quite mature in that sense. They would like to be accepted as an adult, but they can't make those decisions as of yet. So you need to sort of guide them in a certain way where they think they are in control, but alhamdulillah, you just need to make sure that you're guiding them in the right path, which can be quite difficult with the teenagers. It's quite difficult.
And it can be hard really for parents, I suppose, to remember back and put themselves in their shoes, because maybe it's been a while ago. But I have some nods here from some younger people from FOSIS who wasn't that long ago probably that they were in the teenage years, and they're nodding their heads aware. Do you want to join us and in the discussion about that? What do you think, Abrar?
I mean, I understand the struggle in terms of trying to get the child or teenager to relate to you, especially if you have parents who are perhaps immigrants, or they didn't grow up here and they don't particularly understand the society or the way of life, if you want to call it. So I think kind of taking that into account, that their struggles are going to be completely different, especially in regards to how technology is advancing now, and you've got social media, and they've got a whole different range of challenges that they have to face that maybe perhaps the parents didn't have to. So yeah, I can imagine how difficult it must be, but every parent is trying their best. And I think the older that I get, the more I appreciate the reasoning behind what my parents used to, the way that they used to raise me. So alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And the companions complained to the Prophet about their children being more difficult to what they were when they were younger. So every generation complains and feel that there is a gap there, and things move on. But it's something we all have to overcome indeed, and young people and teenagers come through it. You're having something this weekend, maybe, and FOSIS are very involved with young people. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about FOSIS in general first before we talk about what's happening at the weekend, because people might not know about FOSIS. Actually, it might be the first time that they've heard the word here on the radio.
Okay, so FOSIS is the Federation of Student Islamic Societies, and it's essentially an umbrella organisation. They cater for, represent the interests of Muslim students within higher and further education across the UK and Ireland. So a lot of the work that they do is involved within ISOCs, or Islamic societies within universities and colleges. And what we try to do is cater for their needs. So whether it's on campus or in regards to their spiritual development, or looking towards their future and how we can help them figure out what it is that they want to do. That's what FOSIS is there to do. So the event this weekend, which is on Saturday the 26th, between 9 and 5 p.m, is in Birmingham at the Birmingham and Midlands Institute, and it's called Muslims Inspiring Change. But I'll let Mashuda speak a little bit about that
I'll just do a quick correction. 24th of February.
Oh, sorry about that. 24th, this Saturday.
This Saturday, 24th. And it'll from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At the BMI, as Abrar mentioned, which is just a 10-minute walk from the New Street station. If anyone wants to come in from outside of Birmingham, you're more than welcome. So the idea of this event is a lot of our committee, a lot of people within FOSIS, we're all within university, and we understand the struggles of trying to find jobs after university, or trying to figure out your feet, trying to figure out where you stand. And so this is a unique first-time event for FOSIS and FOSIS Midlands specifically. And the idea is to present relevant, relatable role models in Muslim professionals, and just hear their success stories and almost be inspired by it, but also to network with professional organisations such as KPMG, Rolls-Royce, PwC, and give you a chance to really listen and speak and, put yourself out there.
Very good. Sounds very good. Do you think it's something, parents, that your teenagers would be interested in?
Yes, my daughter will love to come.
Yeah,
inshallah, I think it's good, especially like sister earlier before we were on air, she was saying that when children are teenagers, for them as well to be able to know what they want to do in the future, what career path they want to take. So it's good even for a 13-year-old, I think, to come down and just see what sort of options there are available to them. So inshallah, definitely we'll be joining yourselves there. Inshallah. Daughter.
And to have something like this, actually, and we'll come back and talk about a bit more about it later on in more detail, but to have something like this is important, so young people can see role models, can see others, can hear about their journeys, can understand what different careers are like, can see people that are close to their age that they can ask questions to, from what subjects you studied, to what grades you need, to what is the job really like, what are the boring bits of it. It may look glamorous on the outside, but what is it like inside? Would that suit me as a person? And probably if parents are there as well, they probably can gauge this, because they know their young people, whether they're an outgoing person or they're more ingoing, or they're an intrinsic person, and they would like a different feeling.
I think, what the sisters are saying, I think it would be good for my daughter to see them as well as a role model, just to show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel. With all the frustration and the changes that are happening at the moment with my daughter. She's a teenager, going on, inshallah, to become a woman. So I think it would be good for her to see these role models and to say, you know what, we know what it's like, we've been through it, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, and inshallah, you'll be okay. And you've got role models, and alhamdulillah, we're very lucky to be in a country like this, which is quite in the sense that there's a lot out there for Muslims, and we have lots of rights, alhamdulillah. So it'll be good for them to sort of see what their parents are going on. They probably just think they were always just moaning and going at them. So it'll be good for them to actually see that this is what we're talking about.
Is that what parents do, you think, moaning and things? What do you think the issues are for parents out there? There is a lot of issues.
I think the teenagers probably do feel that the parents
they're very sensitive, so they take things a bit too much. As we were talking about the physical changes, it's like there's social changes. So I think coming back to this talk, this event on Saturday would help them to exposed to a bigger social event, and sometimes they don't think of those options. They're out there, but once you go to these places, then you find out, okay, I can do this or I can do that. But it's like when we were young, we didn't have that many options, so now children have much more. Career wise, they have got so many options, and coming to events like that helps them to even explore more options. So I think that will be very helpful for
I think with the course that we did with yourselves, we need to surround our children by we need to surround our children by good role models, and this will be one of those things. The social circle is very important. Obviously, in our course that we did, we need to make sure that the children have a good social circle, good role models. And that could be in the home, outside of the home, relatives. We just need to make sure that they do have someone to look up to. Inshallah,
Inshallah, because they probably don't realise who influenced them. And I know it was a kind of an eye-opener for parents, and we're doing that tomorrow again with the teenagers, because the teenagers of the parents are coming in for day 2 of their workshop. Actually, they've had a day 1 in Christmas holidays, and now this is their second day, and we're going to be working with them again over that of the influences. And I remember when we did that with the parents, it was quite an eye-opener to see the amount of influences there, and I think
from outside outside
things
is
were
so much
changing.
more than they have from the home. Another thing is like an environmental changes. So it's like now kids are more likely to stay in their rooms or chatting with their friends or talking to other people on phones rather than coming and sitting with their parents and doing a talk. Because if you ask them, it's very brief. How was your day? Okay, what did you do? We did study. What subjects? We did this. And
You get a lot out of your teenagers. That's quite a lot of sentences.
I think it's really, really good. I think it's probably my questioning skills.
Mashallah, a lot of teenagers treat disable words now or messages maybe they will text. Were you like that as teenagers?
I'm laughing because I could probably agree with it. I definitely agree that your social circle and like who you surround yourself with definitely has a massive impact upon you. And I think sometimes just making a mistake in that environment makes you realise a lot that it's having good company around you. And obviously within Islam, that's something we promote as well. Keeping good friends and people who influence you has a massive impact on the person that you are. Like they say, you are a product of your environment, and that's specifically shown with your friends. And I think just maybe with parents just seeing like who their friends are, and even if they're on their phones, they might be positively influenced by their friends.
Yes.
So
it is good actually sometimes if they have some sort of issue that's bothering them. It's good that they are sharing because it's bad to just keep it inside you. So sometimes there is like a child does not want to talk everything to the parent, but they find, okay, I can talk to my friend. So I think it is good in a way if we know their friends, if they know their peer group, and we know we can trust their friends. So if they are talking some things but they find it hard to talk to me, I find it is helpful that they talk to their friend, because at least it almost halves the problem.
Do you think there's enough of things for younger teenagers? We know when they go to university we have FOSIS, we have ISOCs, there's lots of other things that's happening. Do you think for young teenagers, like from your children up from the age of 12, 13 up to 17, 18, while they're in that period, is there enough things going on for them in that age group?
Not as much probably. Like a 13-year-old, for example, they've just finished their primary school, year 6, so they're like in year 7 or 8. So I think it's a huge change for them first to move to a secondary school. And I think it is difficult to find what's happening around you for a 13 or 14 years old.
There is very I think it's in big demand. I think there needs to be more places where children can go, teenagers can go, more social circles for them, because apart from school, they're at home, so it's almost as though they're pushed to the side in a way. And we need to bring our teenagers back into the open and listening to them and having their own say as well.
And a lot of responsibility is put on the parents to kind of try and organise things for them, to organise proms or something, like get their girls activated in doing
some fun activities,
activities out there. But to have some things, because the youth clubs now have kind of gone completely, although we do have Muslim Scout Fellowship, which are really doing a good job there with Scouts, and we have young people that are growing up through the Scout system and becoming leaders, and they become explorers in this age where they're doing actually giving some responsibilities, and then they later on become leaders themselves. So these skills that they're learning, all that process, are very similar, as we've often said before, to the parenting skills, the transferable skills that they have to do there. That they have to learn.
I think with what we learned is about consistency as well. Whenever you do see things that are available, like my daughter used to attend a youth club in Green Lane Mosque, so alhamdulillah, that was really good. But you've got to stay consistent and make sure that you take your daughter or your son and just keep on going with it, because parents like myself, I know it's very busy, weekends are really busy, and then you're thinking, okay, I won't go this week, I'll take you next week. So consistency is very important as well with whatever you start off with your child, which is important in a way that you're modelling that they need to they need to be resilient in a way, and to carry on when they start something. They need to instill in them that they must carry on. Even with this course, the Approachable parenting course that I did, even at times there was when I couldn't attend, but I pushed myself and thought, if I've started something off now, I need to obviously complete this course, inshallah, and reap the benefits.
So you are role modelling to them the importance of being consistent and following through with something, which is something we don't actually think of that when we're of all the little details, when we're attending something, and how our young people pick up on that and pick up on things at home and attending. And you were talking there about the activities for girls. Is there much for boys? We've had the news on the last couple of weeks, this shocking news about the football, what's happened with football trainers, and a lot of young Muslim boys are interested in football, and there's not so much activities. Maybe there's even a bit less, because the girls tend to be that little bit more sociable and a little bit more getting on with each other and organising themselves to do something.
Boys are more keep themselves to themselves. So I think it's like, as a parent, it's important to involve them in sports, and it's like I take my daughter to gym with me, and she's happy to do something with me, and I enjoy doing it. So it's something we do together.
That's
it's like
lovely. You go to the gym together?
Yes, we do, because she loves it. So it's like sports or sports clubs or those sorts of things where kids don't feel pressure to do some, mostly because they're at school for such a long time, then they've got so much work to do. And at the top, if we tell them, okay, we're going to do some learning, it puts them off. So if you take them for some fun activities, it helps them to relieve all the stress as well.
I think you'll be quite surprised. It just depends on, you putting yourself as a parent in that environment as well. There are a lot of things for boys that I've heard of. You just need to be in that environment. It's just not much awareness. And I think these mosques, masjids or madrasas or groups need to use social media more and advertise anything that they're holding.
Well, they may be listening in to us this evening, because we're coming to our commercial break now. So if you are a mosque or a centre or running an activity or running scouts, do ring in on 0121 772 8892, and we'd love to hear from you over this commercial break or in the next half, inshallah.
Sitting in my room, staring at the walls, looking into my life and what I've now become. The more I receive, the more I need. There's a fine line between need and greed. Such a lovely day, Allah shown the way. He's my sustainer, my cherisher, provider. His glorious power extends to eternity. Lillahi ma fi samawati wal ard. Bow my head down to Allah. Kneel down, prostrate in sajda. Subhana Rabbi Allah. He is the only one for me. He is the only one for me. Oh, Hasbi Allahu alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. Oh, Hasbi Allahu alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. Ya Allah. Oh, Hasbi Allahu alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. Oh, Hasbi Allahu alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Searching for the path, guided by my heart. Give thanks for my faith in the oneness of Allah. This deen of Islam has been handed down. Praise be to Allah for the warmth of Iman. Such a lovely day, Allah shown the way. He's my sustainer, my cherisher, provider. His glorious power extends to eternity. Lillahi ma fi samawati wal ard. Bow my head down to Allah. Kneel down, prostrate in sajda. Subhana Rabbi Allah. He is the only one for me. He is the only one for me. Oh, Hasbi Allahu alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. Oh, Hasbi Allahu alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. Ya Allah. Oh, Hasbi Allahu alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. Oh, Hasbi Allahu alayhi tawakkaltu, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allah is enough for me. There is no God but He. On Him I place my trust. He is the Lord of us, Lord of the universe, Lord of the world. Allah is enough for me. Allah is enough for me. Such a lovely day, Allah has shown the way. He is my sustainer, my cherisher, provider. His glorious power extends to eternity. Lillahi ma fis samawati wal ard. Oh, hasbi Allah, alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Oh, hasbi Allah, alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Ya Allah. Oh, hasbi Allah, alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Oh, hasbi Allah, alayhi tawakkaltu, wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Following is a repeat show that was previously broadcast on Unity FM.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Unity FM 93.5. You're tuned into Parenting Hour this evening, live in Birmingham, coming from the studio. We can accept your calls on 0121 772 8892, or if you'd like to email us in, the email is studio@unityfm.net, or you could text us in on 07926 843388. Mashallah, before the break we had a lovely discussion about teenagers, and lots of positive things were coming out of this, actually. You know, we have two parents here that have been just on a recent parenting course, but they are very positive and very positive attitude to teenagers and what we should be doing, and how you're communicating with them and helping them to express their emotions and getting to know them better and putting on activities for them and understanding them and taking to different places, which is really very positive, mashallah.
I think doing this course has really helped us to understand and pinpoint few things which I wouldn't have thought about it otherwise. Mm-hmm. So coming to courses like that really helps you to know the issues, mm-hmm. because as a parent you think you know a lot, but when you come to these courses you think, no, you do need to know more than that.
Mm-hmm. So it's more
it does help, really.
Like obviously I've heard from yourself say as well, sisters say, people say that at their workplace they're constantly reflecting, whereas when it comes down to parenting, we don't reflect, mm-hmm. and how we can improve ourselves, whereas in the workforce you seem to be doing that. So alhamdulillah, I've just learned how to reflect and how to become better parents. Even it could be something as simple as just communication skills. We learn there's three things that with you're probably quite surprised that it's not just actually the words that your children are listening to. That's the 7% of the way you communicate with them. It's actually the tone of your voice, which has 38% impact on your teenager, and then it's 55%, which is your body language. So you need to be, obviously, eye contact, a positive expression on your face, being able to try to be good. So just engaging yourself with the teenager. So you might be quite surprised. We always think that, but I said this or I said that. It's not about the words.
I think it's a big thing, because the tone of, you try not to be harsh or sound
you've got to you've got to be interested in what your teenager's got to say. To be able to communicate with your teenager and to have that bond, you need to be able to obviously give them that 100%.
And do lots of fun things here. You probably heard me, listeners, on the show. What am I doing here, crackling with paper? I'm just making this little game here. I don't know the name of it.
Chatterbox,
that's right, Chatterbox. And this is a game we're going to do tomorrow with teenagers. But how many parents play little things like this, the old-fashioned games, and then you can have things hide underneath the numbers of little things to do, or maybe how you're going to give back to the community, or who is your friends, so parents can get to know a little bit about their teen, a little bit better, and who their friends are, and also maybe the teen find out a little bit about their parents and who did they mingle with and who are their friends, because we need more opportunities like this for old-fashioned things. These games are great. I love these old things.
It's a good idea, yeah. I remember playing with it, but not playing with my child.
Do you remember this, the
yes.
chatterbox?
Yes. Playing with myself as a child, yes.
And time it goes by very, very quickly, but when we do activities like this, we find we can kind of grab hold of the time and spend that precious time with teenagers and find out more about.
I think when it comes down to teenagers as well, I think they expect us to see them as adults, so they stop playing these games. But I know deep down they enjoy it. With my teenager, I know she does really like playing with her sisters, but then she thinks that she needs to put on this front that she's an adult and she shouldn't be playing. So there's a lot of things that it's been labelled as shouldn't if you're a teenager. So I think they are children, just in more of an adult sort of form body. So I think to allow them to be children and let them to play games like what you were saying now, and just they're still children. I think
I think with my kids it's otherwise. So they like playing these games, and sometimes when we get together as a extended family, so somebody comes around and they all sit down and they play, and that's a really good time. But normally I don't play myself with kids as much, because I think it's just that it's so less time and so much to do, and you're always preoccupied with, okay, you've got to do this, and before you know, the day's gone.
And that's what happens with children. Before you know it, they're growing up, and the years are gone by.
It's long the nest before you know it.
You probably hear me saying a lot, the housework will always be there. If all the cups are dirty, somebody will get up and wash a cup to have a cup of tea. But that time with your teen, that playing time is really important. Really important to have that bond, to get to know them. Do you agree with us with that, ladies here, mashallah? Yeah. So you're busy and you just have come out of university, or still in university, I think you both were mentioning.
No, so I'm a graduate and Mashuda still in university.
Still in university. Yeah. So do you enjoy play?
It's interesting actually, because the older I get, the more I think about how much I want to spend time with my family. But all these things are now coming onto my plate, so it's things like focusing on my studies or any extra volunteering stuff that I do. And I think there's this weird transition from teenagers where you just want to be this independent person, and then all of a sudden when you're an adult you kind of want to be a child again. So
you're never happy, are you?
So there's almost there's no in between, and I think it's nice if the whole time you have a good relationship with your parents. Alhamdulillah, I have a good relationship with my parents, so I've never felt like I've lacked in that department. But I can imagine children who do feel like they lack in that department, that they feel quite lonely in their teenage years, even though they put on this front. And then when they become an adult, they want to interact with their parents because it's kind of what you want when you're older, but they've spent so long being independent that they now don't know how to go about it, or
I mean, your priorities change, I think, as you get older. So obviously when you're a teenager or you're still about to start university, your friends are your life, and you think that your friends are the closest thing to you, and they're the ones that are going to get you through everything good and bad. But what you realize after a few friendships and those cycles of the people that you meet and hang around with is that the only constant in your life will be your family and your parents, and of course Allah. But your priorities begin to change when you mature and you realise that no matter what, despite the mistakes you make or however rude you might be to your parents and dismissive of them, eventually it will come back to the fact that they will always be there no matter what. And realising that is a journey, and I'm sure for parents it can be quite difficult to see your child not appreciate you in that way, but I think definitely when they experience life in general, they kind of come to that realisation and realise how much they should value their parents.
So how did you form friendships? With parents now listening in, we've been talking a lot about friendships. How do you remember, what did you do, or how did you form friendships when you were a teenager? Is there any tips you can pass over to parents?
I'm just thinking about the amount of times my friendship groups have changed as I've gone through life. I think naturally, eventually so if I talk about my recent friendships, like in university and things like that, it very much migrates around the person that you are, so the things that you like and dislike, and eventually you make friends that sort of become like family. Obviously they'll never be your family, but they become
so it sounds like friends, you kind of go through a process, but then you realise my true friends will be like this, have the same values, the same family values as I had.
And attract people naturally. You'll attract people, girls or boys that just like yourself. So I think you naturally will attract friendship circles that are like yourselves. That's what my past experience has shown me. That so you probably found sisters just like yourselves that you could obviously interact with, and
it's really important to have people around you who you can be yourself with. So you mentioned earlier how children sometimes put on a front and they pretend not to like things even though they do, and that comes back to identity. And having strong identity means obviously being strong in yourself and not being afraid to show your true self to those around you. And that's one thing that generally you should be able to do with your family. So making sure that towards your children you're open and you're not judgmental and you're not dismissive of their personal interests. That will give the child a sense of respect towards them and how they truly feel about things. And having friends like that is really important, and they're the ones that you will maintain relationships with, because when you're fake it's never going to be sustainable. So making sure you've got strong principled people around you is very important, I think.
I think it brings back to the point as a parent. It's like now teenagers like going out with friends all the time, and then as a parent you think, how much time do you really need to give them with friends, because they think this is fun just to go out and spend time with friends rather than doing things with family as much. So from your experience, how do you feel? Were you free to go out on weekends or evenings, or how much freedom we should give as a parent to our girls or boys to go out? And
I suppose that varies, doesn't it, from family to family and parents to parents, and how much different families agree on all of this. And with friends is very important, as with the role models that are very close to their age but maybe a little bit older, a little bit more mature, can look up to those role models and try and see what experience they've got and try and learn from that. So, which brings me on to kind of your event at the weekend, because we wanted to talk a little bit more about it, and the time goes by very quickly here, so we better start talking about it before it goes. So tell us about this event at the weekend that you're hosting.
Okay, so we've invited a total of 9 speakers. They come from a range of backgrounds professionally. We've got a geneticist, we've got the former director of Al Jazeera, a very successful international TV network. We've got people who work within diplomacy and education and consulting, technology, etc. So these speakers are all coming to share their stories with us and talk about how they managed to find success professionally whilst also maintaining and balancing their personal lives and their faith and their principles and what they believe in. Alongside this, we also have a careers fair. So we've invited quite a few companies. Some of them are KPMG, PwC, Barclays, Teach First, and there will be an opportunity to network with those companies. So they'll have stalls like you would have at Careers Fair, and a portion of the event will be dedicated towards that. So you can look into graduate recruitment, ask questions about CVs and how to apply for jobs and trying to increase your employability skills. So it's going to be a bit of a combination between inspiration and practicality, and how you can actually translate that inspiration into something that you can take forward with you and build towards your future with. So inshallah, it
sounds wonderful indeed. Now, I've been thinking for many years there has been a need for something like this to help young people, one, in building their personal statement before they leave, because it's something that schools do, and some schools are better than other schools, but there's always space there to make it better, and a lot of our children miss out on that. What do I need to put in a personal statement? What should I have done for the years before that as experience or skills or activities or volunteering that needs to go into that, because it's too late when you're writing it. You need to have done it before that, and I think there's a need there to build our young people and tell them what they're doing about that. And also there's another need, and I don't know whether you're addressing this or not, about interview skills. Some of the subjects you study in university now you have to go for an interview for, and sometimes these young people have never been for an interview before, don't know how to interact, maybe look at the ground, maybe not even answer the question. It's their first time in the spotlight. So will you be kind of looking at some things like that, or maybe in the future?
It's not something at this specific event in terms of interview skills, but just think about from my perspective, I could not even think about going into an interview when I was back at school. The idea of having to explain myself, like the first question you go into an interview is, tell me something about yourself. I used to panic. But when you start going out and networking, you naturally develop these skills to be able to converse and to be able to build conversation, tell people about yourself. And so even though we're not specifically doing interview skills, just being able to network around, even at the event during the talks with the people around you, you're able to build those skills that you need.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes even meeting someone who has already been through that path that you're thinking about going down. So, for example, I did law, and if someone came to me today and was interested in studying law, I would like to help them, and they could perhaps, ask me or find someone else, perhaps kind of to mentor them. And that is part of networking. So it's not just with the companies, but it's also utilizing the individuals around you. So, mashallah, as a Muslim community, we have so many amazing, successful professionals, and I think it's really important to utilize those people, get them to mentor the youth and directly work with them and try to build them up and increase their confidence towards getting these kinds of roles. So this event is a very good opportunity to do that, I think.
So let us mention again where it is, the time that's in it, the time it's on, so people know.
So it's on this Saturday, 24th of February, between 9 and 5 p.m. It's in the Birmingham and Midlands Institute, which is a 10-minute walk away from the New Street station.
And that's in Margaret Street, isn't it? It's the educational...
Margaret Street,
yes. It's the educational area and
and you can purchase tickets on mictalks.co.uk. That's MIC talks.co.uk. Tickets are only £5. I would recommend getting them online because you can buy them at the door, but we can't guarantee availability. And that's this Saturday, inshallah.
Mashallah, mashallah. And what age group is it really geared for, would you recommend? Now, parents are tuned into this on their way home probably, and hopefully they'll pass on the messages to others as well. What age group do you think, how old is too old or how young is too young?
So, I mean, FOSIS itself caters towards students within further and higher education. So I would say between 16 and however old, a person is within education. Obviously, if there are a few, younger listeners who would like to attend out of curiosity, it's a very good start towards kind of doing this in the future. But yeah, the age range is between probably 16 and 25, 30. But of course, everyone is welcome.
And I think, as we were saying earlier, education is like an extension. Going into university is now a norm. So you don't have to attend this event feeling like you kind of know what you want to do. You can attend this event and have no clue what you want to do and leave the event and, now have some sort of an idea. So it's open to absolutely everybody.
Which, of course, young people are still forming their mind, really, what is it they want to do. And some things look glamorous that maybe are not glamorous, and some things may be appealing to them. And then when they see that, I'm going to be in a lab all day and I'm just going to be looking into a microscope, that's not really for me. I like to meet people and talking to people. So a different career is where the way I should go for. So it's really important to talk to people like this.
I mean, my daughter, who's 13, has changed, I think, 3 career paths already before she's even graduated. I think it was a pharmacist and then a doctor and now a dentist. And then I think the other day she was saying a historian. So they seem to be changing their mind a lot before they've even actually graduated. So inshallah, like you said, if they're there, then at least they can maybe have that solid sort of foundation where they can know, where they're heading, inshallah.
So have you got anything to do with the medical or genetics subjects?
So one of our speakers is actually woman by the name of Sahar Al-Fayfi, and she's actually a geneticist, and she's done a lot.
That's what my daughter wants to do.
So she's actually she wears the niqab, mashallah, and she's still very successful within her field. And it just shows sometimes when you get to interact with people who either look like you or they have similar backgrounds to you in terms of faith and principles, it's really nice to see there's representation within companies and fields, so that you don't feel like you're the first person to enter in these kinds of areas. So it's really good to kind of network with them.
Kathleen was saying positive role models, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah. And the time that they're starting at?
It's 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. inshallah.
Inshallah. So will there be food there? I mean, as parents probably they might leave their children off or teenagers off for the day with some pocket money, or they might just drop them there. So there is food available.
There is food and there are refreshments. So that's all sorted.
It is important because you need to keep up their energy levels for the day. Indeed,
stay longer and understand more.
And you have a program then of the speakers that is going to happen.
Yep, that's on the website. So I'll repeat the website, mictalks.co.uk, and you can find full details of the speakers and their bios, the companies that we've invited, and the full itinerary on what's happening throughout the day.
Great. I think parents will be very interested in how their children can avail of this. And as you mentioned, we're building social skills all the time, talking to people, building their confidence and self-esteem, which takes a lot of time and effort to do that. That's not done overnight. There's no magic wands out there. They need to be going to these things. They need to be mingling. They need to be seeing different people and asking those questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of parents will be interested in doing that and trying to look and see what is available. Even parents might like to attend to find what's happening there, what is available for their young people.
I mean, like what you were saying earlier in the course as well, we're always worried about our children's academic side, but being in this sort of environment, it's also about emotional intelligence as well. I think, we don't really focus as much as we should on emotional intelligence and, understanding people's feelings, how to communicate with others, their own age, older, younger. So, inshallah, I think it's quite important for them to be in that environment and that social circle.
And we wouldn't actually have these two bright young ladies here in front of us today if they weren't emotionally intelligent, because you have to really have that emotional intelligence before you can go into academia. You cannot succeed otherwise. So mashallah, your parents have done a wonderful job with you, mashallah, and I'm sure our parents here in front of us have done a wonderful job with their teenagers as well. Mashallah, alhamdulillah.
I mean, all I can say, obviously, seeing these wonderful sisters, it just puts our hard work into perspective, that inshallah, our daughters will shine, inshallah. Just like these.
So you feel this is inspirational, just
Definitely
even listening to them today.
Definitely,
and going to this. That's why I think parents would probably be very interested in going as well, and seeing for them what is available out there for doing, because a lot of families may think of 3 or 4 careers. You have your medicine, your doctor, or your dentist, or you have your lawyer, you have your accountants, or your engineering, and that's it, kind of. And now, today, there's so many different things that we should be looking at all the different fields there. So you're going to have all that information of all the different fields out there, which is really good. Like media, for example, look at the importance of media now. We were complaining maybe about teenagers on media and on WhatsApp, on Instagram, and using telephone so much, but actually if we look at media, the positive things of media, and you said you have somebody from Al Jazeera there.
He's our keynote speaker, and he was the former director of Al Jazeera. He's very inspirational to listen to,
mashallah. So he'd probably give his story, his journey of how he reached that, which I'm sure isn't easy. I haven't heard that story, so it would be interesting to hear of that.
Looking forward to seeing him.
I mean, could we do we need to obviously be with the teenagers, but or do we have to
it's
stay
up
there
to
with them,
it's up to you as parents, but the place is safe, and if you'd like to drop them off and pick them up, that
because
would
obviously
be
some
fine.
Parents might be doing things on the weekend, and then they could probably
can drop them off and go shopping, maybe.
Yes, that could be one of the things. Or you can just drop them off with their friends as well. It could be a good social gathering for them, a couple of their friends. If your children have been nagging that they want to go out with their friends, maybe this might be a perfect environment. An
environment where they'll be learning something. So there's a good idea, parents, if you're tuned in and listening today to us. We've been talking about the event this weekend on Saturday from 9 o'clock. You go to FOSIS to book a ticket if you repeat the website again to us just before the end of the show.
www.mictalks.co.uk. That's MICtalks.co.uk.
Wonderful, mashallah. Lovely having you all in the studio today. And mashallah, I found out a lot about what's going on, and thank you, our parents, as well, talking a lot about your teenagers and the programme that you've attended with Approachable Parenting. It was wonderful being here with you. Inshallah, listeners, we'll be back with you again next week, inshallah. Do tune in to another session, and thank you also to our Luton listeners tuning in to Parenting Hour. Assalamu alaikum.